looks like most of the outlining.
Alright gang, so here we go. I got my spoon shader on here, and what we're going to start doing pretty much, let me move a couple things out of the way over here by my elbow. What we're going to start doing is these lines are just basically, well, it's an outline, right? So what we're going to start doing is I have the temperature set to about 5, which is pretty high, but there's a thing with softwood, you know, you're burning down in layers as opposed to on a harder wood where you're burning on the surface. So your burn will show more or less with the softer wood that we're going to be working on. So you're going to want it, you know, especially these darker areas, you want these to pop because we're going to go from dark to light here. So we're going to start off really simple, and we're going to start off with these hard lines and stuff right around here. Make sure that we're right, you know, where we need to be. Make sure we don't go too hard and too fast. Now, one of the things we're going to learn, and one of the fun things with these lines and when you're darkening these is when you have a line, like I love, like I said with my I love working with shadows. So here underneath the arm, we're gonna, you know, I'm not gonna more or less do the line, we're gonna go right underneath it, because that is what's called a contact shadow. So you have to really think about where you want the viewer to be caught, you know, where you want his eyes to be drawn. You want things to look as natural and as seamless as possible. So one of the things, like, you know, noticing from how flat this looks, you know, I've seen people put stuff on coasters and there you go, and it's just flat like this, or you can have that, you know, with depth showing, you know. So you want stuff to pop, so you have to make sure your lines are going to be going exactly where they need to be to convey the idea of depth. Like right here, we're going to have to go, a little fun thing to do here, since we're going to have a contact shadow on the arm and then more or less the curve of that sleeve there. So what we're going to do here is you're going to go right over the line and you're getting both surfaces. Okay? Bada bing. And you bring that around. And another thing that I have always, especially with these little coasters and stuff, and I keep moving this, I'm so very sorry. When you're doing your outlining, especially, you want to keep, like you're going to notice I spin this piece around a lot, and what it's going to do is basically keeping your, I like to keep this line away from me so I can see what I'm doing basically. And I'm always, one of the things you want to know is you're pulling your iron or your if you're pushing, you're going to push into the wood, you're going to gouge down into the wood. You never want to do that, especially like right now I'm working at a higher temperature that will make a dent, you know. So you want to pull, always pull. And the beautiful thing about that is it's all about hand position and more the wrist. Like, you know, like right now, it looks like I'm pushing, but in actuality, because of the way I have my wrist cocked, I'm bringing this in towards, you know, the other way. And these will be cleaned up once we start adding shadows. So, you know, there's going to be a few lines where we're going to be kind of like, hey, what's going on there? But everything's going to work out once we start getting the shadows. This is just more or less giving us a groundwork of where we're going to start with those shadows. You know, we work with the dark, go in the light, and just so you can see how we're going to do that, this is pretty much going to be a dark area in the shirt right about here. So just so you can see how we're going to work into that. You get that really dark corner in there, and then you see, just like that, you're feathering out. You think of it almost like sketching. Now, I kind of do it this way also because of my tremors. I don't want the iron being in contact with the wood so often, so I'm making a lot of short choppy motions, and it's kind of like layering. You know, you want to layer that on there because you definitely don't want to overburn. And I know you're thinking, overburn, what's up with that little black part right there? Well, it's going to be black, so an overburn ain't bad. So that's basically how I'm talking about how we're feathering in from the outlines. So basically we're just going to keep doing that. Not all of these lines are going to be touched up with an outline, and then there's going to be some spots on these, you know, where I'm going to get that extra shadow work in there, because, you know, I might as well just do it now. You know, and here we go, another spot where we're going to have a contact shadow and going around that sleeve there. So we want to get both sides. Okay. Make sure everything looks, you know, as copacetic as possible. You know, in the end, you're putting your name on these things, you know, and you know, or not these things, but you know, you're putting your name on the product, and you want, you know, your name associated with a quality product. And in the end, that goes only as far as, you know, the work you're willing to put into the piece. So here we go again with kind of like an indented little wrinkle here, getting both sides. And then also another thing with for me, I'm very visual, so stuff like this, like touching up these lines, really helps with me in terms of mapping stuff out. You know what I mean? Visually, because since I don't really do this traditionally in terms of like drawing and stuff, I use a lot of like landmarks, you know, so I'm gonna thicken this up just a little bit right there. So I know it's kind of strange talking about landmarks on a little piece of wood that's about 5 inches in diameter, or, you know, 5 inches across, but you know, when you're working in something this small, 5 inches is ginormous. You know, This is coaster number 3. So, to be perfectly honest, my tremors are there, but they've really taken a back seat today. They really kind of, maybe they knew I was going to be recording today. I don't know. But the other 2 coasters, like I said, I was trying to experiment and try to figure out what was going to work for me. And in the end, tried and true. Always stick with what works for you. Tried and true. Don't ever try to reinvent the wheel, because in the end, sometimes, my brothers and sisters out there, the wheel's already been invented. You're not going to do it any better. So, in the end, you know what? That's a lie. If that was the truth, we wouldn't have flying aircraft. We would never have gone to the moon, and well, we wouldn't be talking right now on YouTube. Well, anyway, let's get back to doing these lines. If you want, I'm not going to be really interjecting other than just little tidbits of info here and there. So I'm going to fast forward through a majority of this stuff, get you through where we need to get into the shading, and when I need to chime in with anything in particular, excuse me, I will slow the video down and we will get a chance to chat. But for right now, let's fast forward a little bit.